I'm naming this module as you see there on the screen, Bhagavad-gita, a systematic study, concepts, theories, and frameworks. So my idea is to prepare slides like this and eventually probably make notes out of them and then use them for teaching like the way I'm doing now with you. So let's see how it goes. So first we'll look at what is Bhagavad Gita and why should we study Bhagavad Gita? These two questions are, I think, very basic. So as we all know, Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the original text to which Bhagavad Gita belongs, and Mahabharata was written actually in 60 lakh shlokas. Originally, the first version of Mahabharata, it is described that it was written in 60 lakh shlokas, 100,000 shlokas. But that version was not available to human beings. It was written by Vyasdev ji for the Devas. It was in Swarga. So eventually, because human beings cannot consume even what it is now, the 100,000 shlokas, as you can see on the screen, is what is available to us today. But even that is so huge that most people find it difficult to go through this text in their lifetime. Only a few scholars have gone through it. So what we have today is the 100,000 shlokas version. It's divided into 18 parvas. And each parva is further subdivided into what are called as upaparvas. So parva is a section, and then upaparva is a section of a section, subsection. And within each upaparva, there are several chapters, adhyayas. And in each adhyaya, there are shlokas. Okay, so the smallest unit is a shloka. Of course, you can break a shloka into words and letters, but then let's say shloka. Since shlokas add up to chapters, chapters add up to upaparvas, upaparvas into parvas, and then 18 parvas constitute the Mahabharata. Now, the number of chapters, just to give you a feel for this, is more than 2,000. There are more than 2,000 chapters in which these 100,000 shlokas are spread. That's the expanse of Bhagavad Gita. Mahabharata. Okay, now among the 18 parvas, Bhagavad Gita is in the sixth parva. It's called the Bhishma Parva. Bhishma Parva is the sixth parva, and Bhishma Parva has some portions of the Kurukshetra. The first 10 days of the Kurukshetra Yuddha are described in the Bhishma Parva, beginning with the first day, which is when Bhagavad Gita was spoken. The author of Mahabharata and thereby Bhagavad Gita also is Vedavyasji, and his original name is Krishna Dvaipayana. That's how he was named when he was born, because he was dark in complexion. He is dark in complexion. He's still there. He is dark, so he's called Krishna. Krishna means black. And he was born on an island. Because he was born on an island, he got the name Dvaipayana, one who appeared on an island. And that was his original name. And the name Vyasa, the title Vyasa, comes because he classified the Veda into four parts: Rig, Yajus, Sama, and Atharva. So, Vyastaha Vedaha Yenasaha. One who Vyasta means divided or classified, categorized. So he's called Veda Vyasa, one who classified the Veda. So that's how we know him today. Very few people know the original name as Krishna Dvaipaya. So we also worship him because we understand him as somebody who is an avatar, a Shaktiavesh avatar of Bhagavan, Krishna himself. Now, Bhagavad Gita is a record of the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna that we know. And it was spoken on the first day of the Kurukshetra war. And as per the dating that the Indian scholars have done, this happened somewhere in 3102 BC. This is the most common date. There are some other alternative dates also which people have given, including some Western scholars, which are not exactly matching with this. But this is the most popular date, 3102 BC, which is about 5,100 years ago. That's the age of Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita. So the Kurukshetra war happened at that time. And shortly after that, what is called Kali Yuga, we are going through the period called Kali Yuga, began shortly after this. Okay, the day on which Bhagavad Gita was spoken, the first day of Kurukshetra Yuddha, is what is called the Margashirsha. There are 12 months in a year, right? We know that. And one of them is called Margashirsha, that begins somewhere in the middle of November and ends somewhere in the middle of December. So the Margashirsha month is also called Agrahayana. It's considered by some people as the beginning of the year. Unlike, see, there are many different beginnings of the year in the Indian systems. So one of them happens in the Chaitra Mas, which is in April, right? March, April. That's when we celebrate Yugadi and so on. A lot of people do that. And some people also consider Margashirsha as the beginning, because that's when the new harvest of rice comes. So Margashirsha month is also very special. And in the Margashirsha Masa, in the Shukla Paksha, which in the one of the calendar systems, Shukla Paksha comes in the second half of the month. Krishna Paksha comes first. So on the Shukla Paksha Ekadashi of Margashirsha, which is today celebrated as Gita Jayanti, on that day, Gita was spoken. Now, the war ended on the 18th day, we know this. And some people say this was on the Amavasya of the next month, Paushamas. So this has to be verified. I'm not 100% sure about. Okay, that is the first part of what is Bhagavad Gita. Now, more about Bhagavad Gita. It consists of 701 shlokas. In some versions, there's one shloka less, so there are 700 shlokas. And that one shloka which is less does not make much difference, because in that shloka, Arjuna is asking a question. And then the remaining shlokas, Sri Bhagavan is answering that question. So it doesn't matter if that question is missing. Now, of the 701 shlokas, 579 are spoken by Krishna and 86 are spoken by Arjuna. So between the two of them, the total number of shlokas is 665 out of 701. So you can see that is why it's called a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna, because whatever the others speak is only a small amount, is only 36 shlokas, the remaining 36. Now you can see that Krishna spoke more than 80%, and that's the reason why it's called Bhagavad-gita, right? Otherwise, it would be just a conversation between different people. Now, the remaining 36 shlokas are divided like this. Sanjaya, who is you can say, the secretary of Dhritarashtra, he was like what is today called a secretary. He played that role. He was very close to Dhritarashtra, and he was also a Dharmatma. He was a follower of Dharma, very strict follower of Dharma. He had a lot of insight. He was a disciple of Vyasdevji. So he speaks 26 shlokas in which he gives the introduction, the conclusions, and in between filling shlokas he speaks. Duryodhana speaks 9 shlokas. Okay, very few people know this also, that Duryodhana also appears in the Bhagavad Gita. He speaks 9 shlokas in the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And the very first shloka of Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Dhritarashtra, in which he asks the question that what happened. He's asking to Sanjay, what happened after my sons and the sons of Pandu came to the Kurukshetra Yuddha, the Yuddha Bhumi of Kurukshetra, which is also called Dharmakshetra. So that is in the full Bhagavad Gita. So I will not be going shloka by shloka here. I'll be going theme by theme. And in this way, I'll be exposing you to the concepts in Gita. That's my focus, more than take you through the sequence of shlokas. And to help you to understand the sequence of shlokas, I'll share with you the translation which I have done. I've translated the whole Gita in English, and I'm now refining it. I've done the first round of translation. Now I'm refining and improving the readability of the text. So I'll share my whole translation with you. You can, of course, refer to other translations also. There are so many translations available, and many of them are available online too. So you can also refer to them if you wish to. Now, yeah, this is how the word comes. If you go to the etymology of the word, in Sanskrit, Bhagavata Gita means sung by Bhagavan. Bhagavata is in Tritiya Vibhakti. Okay, those of you who have studied Hindi, you know what Vibhakti means. So third Vibhakti is called the instrumental case, by something or as an instrument of something. So it's by Bhagavan, Bhagavata Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Another way of expanding Bhagavad Gita is Bhagavatah Gita, means of Bhagavan. This is Sashti Tatpurush. So it is Bhagavan's Gita, or belongs to him, that which came from him. And then the two words, they combine in, you can say Sandhi. The Sandhi is this. Bhagavat plus Gita becomes Bhagavad-gita. It becomes it. Bhagavad-gita. That is how we know it today, Bhagavad-gita. Okay, so why should we read Bhagavad-gita? Isn't it something that is out of, we can say outdated? It's something that people in those days, it was relevant at that time. But today we have gone beyond all that. We have modern knowledge. We have so many solutions to all our problems. So why do we need this outdated knowledge? Isn't it just something religious? Some Hindus worship this. Why should we know this? So to remove those misconceptions, it's first important to understand why Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is important for anybody who has these kind of questions, which I'm listing in this slide. And you will see after I list these questions that these questions are timeless questions. They will never be outdated. These questions are always in the people, in the minds of people, human beings. And if somebody wants to answer them, then one of the ways of answering them is to read what Bhagavad Gita says. Bhagavad Gita offers answers to these questions. Now, okay, but these questions are answered by others too. So why Bhagavad Gita? Now, of course, you can always look for answers anywhere, and you can listen to different philosophical understandings of, the approaches to answer these questions. But the way the Bhagavad Gita answers them has satisfied millions of people. Bhagavad Gita has answered these questions in such a way that it has survived 5,000 years, which means through changing mindsets, people have been, sort of found their answers perfectly in in Bhagavad Gita. So maybe today also, despite all the other philosophies which have come about and which exist and so many other changes like technology and so on which have happened, it is possible that we will also find perfect answers to these questions. So what are these questions? So first is, how can one obtain perfect happiness? How should one live? This is something that bothers many people. A more fundamental question is this: who am I? What is meant by saying I am Ajit, okay, or I am Vedangi, or I am, Ashita, or whatever, or I am Sarthak? So what is the meaning of that answer? And who is that I who is speaking? Is it just the collection of atoms and molecules, right? Or in our Sanskriti, we say Paramanu. Atom is called Paramanu, the lowest, the smallest unit of matter. So both in, our traditional knowledge, Indian knowledge system, as well as in the modern knowledge, we understand matter as broken down into pieces. And then those pieces come together, they interact in some ways to create a living being. So is the living being merely that, or is it something different from that? So who is the person who says, I am Ajit, I am Vedangi, I am Ashita, I am Sarthak? Who is that person? So this question actually was a question that brought me to Bhagavad Gita. When I was in college, when I was studying my BTech, this question kept coming to me many, many times because I was a student of science that too. So everything is explained in terms of atoms, molecules, and then further electrons, protons, neutrons, and other subatomic particles. So is that what I am? Then what is the meaning of life? If that's what I am, then why should I live? Why should I do anything at all? Why should I do what I'm doing? Why should I do my BTech? What is the point in doing whatever I'm doing? What is meant? Is there something called love? So all these questions used to trouble me. And eventually when Bhagavad Gita came, that answer became so clear. Suddenly I got the answer and I said, my God, nobody thought of this, or at least I didn't think of it. But this answer is right here. And so what is that answer? We will look at it. And so, why do I exist and what is the purpose of my existence? This is something that even people who don't ask the earlier question, they ask. Many people ask this question, that what is the purpose of my life? What is it that I should try to achieve and feel I've achieved something at the end of my life? The next question is, did I exist before I was born in this life, and will I exist after this birth? Or is it just that, right now I'm existing, but there was nothing before this? I did not exist before this. And when I die, that's it. It's all over. It's like going to a permanent sleep. I go into matter and then I become non-existent. So is that the thing? Or is it that I was existing before in some form and maybe I will continue to exist? So this question also bothers many people, especially when they think about death. Somebody dies, let's say somebody in the family dies, or suddenly we hear the news of some friend has died. Okay, just yesterday I spoke to him. Today, my God, how is it possible? It's unbelievable. Yesterday I spoke to him. He was there, and now you're saying he's not there. What happened? How is it possible? So this shock, when people go into this state of shock, they develop what is called in our Samskriti as what is called a smashana vairagya. Something called smashana vairagya means when you see a particular dead body, so especially if somebody close who's close to us, their body being taken to a crematorium and then committed to, the pyre. The body is burnt, and then we no longer see that person. And we realize that we are never going to see that person again. These questions come that I'm also going to die one day, but what will happen to me? Where is that person now? These kind of questions come to mind. So this question bothers many people, and in some cases they forget. Smashana Vairagya is not long lasting. It lasts for a day or two, and then normal life resumes, it takes over. People forget about it. But for some people, they don't forget. It questions keeps coming back. So this question is very important, and it's answered by Bhagavad Gita very well. Now, the larger question that many people ask, students of science ask this question: where does this universe and where do the components of this universe come from? How was this universe created? Science, of course, offers an answer. The major answer that we know is the Big Bang theory, and there are so many other theories which have also come after Big Bang theory, which conflict with each other. They have different explanations for the universe, existence, and creation. Who created it? Was there a conscious living being which created it? Obviously, science rejects that. Science says there was no human being. Many top scientists are atheists, what we call atheists. They don't believe there was a creator. They believe that matter existed as matter in some form, and we don't know where it came from, but we know at some point all these things happened, and today we have a universe. Okay, then this question, of course, has bothered humanity since beginning, and it continues to bother. Does God exist? And do other invisible beings exist other than God? Okay, God is one thing, one creator, one person who gives punishment and reward, and all the different understandings of God exist. So, is there a being like that? And also, we talk about ghosts, we talk about invisible creatures. People, this mystery is always there. Even otherwise, like, for example, they say there's a Loch Ness monster existing somewhere. There's a Bermuda Triangle, and there's something inside Bermuda Triangle, and that keeps pulling the ships and the planes down. So, all kinds of theories exist about the existence of invisible beings, beings which do things which we can't see. We can't see those beings, we can't see how they act, but do they really exist? Okay, this is another question that bothers people, including scientists. Is there life somewhere else apart from the life that we know on this earth? You and I exist, we know each other, we know animals, plants, so much life forms we know. But apart from what we see and we know, is there life elsewhere on other planets, which is either similar to the life that we know, which also can reproduce and so on, and or which is different from what we see? This question is a science question, very much. So these are all science related questions. Now, to answer those questions, Bhagavad Gita in a gist is like this. So before going into the details, I'll give you a gist of what the Bhagavad Gita gives us answers to all these questions. The very first thing that Bhagavad Gita tells us, yes, there is something that lives and that is different from matter. Atoms and molecules are not life. The Jivatma is life, or Jiva. That is the true self, and that is the living being. And there is another living called Bhagavan, also known as Paramatma, Brahman, Ishvara, etc. And this living being is the all-encompassing living being in which the Jivatmas belong. So we are going to go into all these details as we read Bhagavad Gita. There is something called Prakriti, which is different from both these beings. It is also called, you can say in English, material energy or matter or so on. And that has a place. It is not life. Life is different from it. But Prakriti has a place. It has a very important place in life. And that is discussed elaborately in Bhagavad Gita. And there is something called Maya or Agyana, ignorance. Maya and Agyana are used interchangeably in Bhagavad Gita. And Samsara, material existence of the living being. Dharma, the system for sustained well-being of the living beings. Yoga, the process for permanent or eternal well-being, that is different from Samanya Dharma. Yoga is a particular type of Dharma. Yoga is a subset of Dharma. Mukti and Atma Sukha, these are the visible goals of Dharma and of Yoga. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, Bhagavad Gita focuses on Mukti and Atma Sukha as the goals of human life. Yoga is done to achieve Mukti and thereby get Atma Sukha. This is explicitly told in Bhagavad Gita many, many times. But Prema and Ananda, they are the concealed goals of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita also refers to them, but in a very concealed manner. And they are superior to the goal of Mukti and Atma Sukha. Mukti and Atma Sukha do not imply Prema and Ananda. Although Prema and Ananda imply Mukti and Atma Sukha. When somebody has Prema, they automatically have Mukti. So these are the ultimate goals. And these are explained in Gita or presented in Gita, even referred to in Gita in a concealed manner. So this is all covered in Bhagavad Gita. And through these concepts, this will be the central concepts that we will look at. Of course, we will look at many, many sub-concepts as we try to understand these. We will look at many sub-themes and sub-concepts and theories and frameworks that go around this. And we will come back to these as we make progress. By the end of our 10 sessions, we'll see how much of this we have covered and then decide whether to continue on to have more sessions in future. Okay, now Vedangi's question is, does Bhagavad Gita answer the question, do we have free will or everything is preordained? Of course it does. And the answer in summary is that yes, free will is very much a part of the living being's existence. It's because we have free will that there is something called as karma. Action is done with free will, and the fruits of action, karma phala, is because we have free will. If free will was not there, then there is no karma phala also. So I'll come to all of that. And to again add to that question, my answer now, to tell you in a gist, it is karma phala only in the human birth. Human, in the body of a human being, the Jivatma has karma phala, experiences punya and papa. But in all the other species, animals, insects, plants, the same living being does karma or whatever it does. It's not called karma the way it's called in human beings because it's not subject to the same level of free will that human beings have. They also have some free will, but it's very restricted. And therefore, they don't experience karma phala. For whatever they do, there's no karma phala. They only do karma and whatever is called karma in their action, but there is no karma phala for them. Human beings experience karma phala and they experience the result of that also. That's the gist of the thing, but we'll discuss it in detail as we go forward. Yes, this is very important. You see, it's not only to understand concepts and answer philosophical questions that human beings should read Bhagavad Gita. Many people are not philosophical, so those questions may never come to their mind. But the questions I showed you, some of us get these questions and we then want to pursue and get answers. But for many people, the majority of population doesn't get such questions. They may even the question, even if it comes to their mind, they brush it aside with some answer and they just laugh it off, or they just think it's not relevant right now. We'll see it later. When I become 60, I'll think about it. But now it's not important. Let me earn money. Let me make my career. So most people are not concerned with philosophical questions. But Bhagavad Gita is still important for them because it helps even other people live a very inspired life. Bhagavad Gita shows how to discover our inner strength. It inspires sincere action and it fosters genuine happiness. So even if you don't have such questions in your mind, but if you understand what Bhagavad Gita says and try to adopt it in your life and live, Bhagavad Gita will give you a better quality of life. That life will be of better quality in its comprehensive sense than a life without Bhagavad Gita. Okay, so this is something that many books on self-improvement, how to become stronger, how to have a better purpose, how to be happier. We see countless literature on this today. Every year we get so many new books, articles, blogs, websites, which try to address this. How can human beings be happier? Now, Bhagavad Gita leads to this. Studying Bhagavad Gita infuses positivity. It gives us vitality. It brings brightness into our life. It brings enthusiasm. and it eliminates all the opposites. It eliminates negativity, it eliminates depression. If you really understand Bhagavad Gita and live by it, then stress, depression, lack of energy, lack of positivity will all go away, right? And there is timeless inspiration because it has survived 5,000 years. It has inspired people. It's not just something that's a manuscript. It's not something that's available in a museum, right? So many manuscripts are available in museums. They haven't become popular. They've just survived, right? They are there because somebody has preserved them. They've just been passed down and they are there and they're kept in museums as relics, as something that are antiques. But Bhagavad Gita is not like that. It is something that is studied today, it is taught today, and so many people want their children to know. If you ask any no, layman, even if he doesn't know what Bhagavad Gita is, he will still say, no, I want my child to learn Bhagavad Gita, right? Because he knows that it has been inspiring people. It is passed down as an inspirational text. It's the only text that I know of which has survived 5,000 years. It's a self-motivation, you can say self-improvement or self-motivation book which has survived 5,000 years of. There's no older book which has survived. There are only younger books which came. Like we hear about Greek philosophers' books. We hear about Socrates. We hear about the works of the Stoics philosophers. Okay, these are all books which have motivated people, no doubt, and they are also popular today. But they are not as old as Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has survived. And of course, I have gone through some of those philosophies also. And in my opinion, they are not as deep as Gita is. You can read both and you can come to your own conclusion too. The depth in them, they are also very motivational, no doubt. Stoic philosophy is also motivational. But you will not see all the answers that we, the questions that we raise. They do answer some questions. So Bhagavad Gita is more relevant today than it ever was because of the increasing turmoil. The world was not as disturbed as it is today, right? It's more and more disturbed, and I think it's more and more relevant to have Gita with us. So Gita not only transformed Arjuna, that's the first listener of Gita, but it has transformed millions of other people later. So that's the reason why we should all study Bhagavad Gita. And we can, of course, expand on all this and write a whole book on why Bhagavad Gita should be studied. But we'll stop with this because we have only 10 sessions. And so we'll move on now. The first concept I want to cover is this. Let me see where my cursor is. Here is where I am. Okay. At this point, do any of you have any questions? Ashita, Vedangi, Sarthak, based on whatever I spoke so far? Okay, nothing? Okay. So the very first thing that Krishna teaches Arjuna in Gita after he begins to speak and after Arjuna hands over the mic to him is this Atma and Anatma. Atma, Anatma cha. That's how I have named it. So why is this the first topic in Gita? Why should we know this first? There are so many things. Many people, if you ask the layman, for example, what is Bhagavad Gita about? The first answer that you will get is Karma Yoga. Anybody who knows a little bit about Gita will say Bhagavad Gita is about Karma Yoga. Krishna tells that we should do our duty sincerely. We should be committed to our work. We should be Karma Yogis, right? The word Karma Yoga is the most popular word associated with Bhagavad Gita in the common parlance. Isn't it true? Even in management literature, those who are trying to bring Bhagavad Gita to management, you will see them trying to talk about how Karma Yoga, Anasakti, Loka Sangraha, these are all Karma Yoga concepts. Loka Sangraha is a concept coming from Karma Yoga. So people talk about, there's a lot of papers written in management which have tried to bring these concepts to management, right? But apart from Karma Yoga, is there anything else in Bhagavad Gita? Only a few people know that, right? Bhagavad Gita actually has a lot more in it than Karma Yoga, a lot more. So Bhagavad Gita does not begin with Karma Yoga because to understand Karma Yoga properly, you should first understand this Atma and what is not the Atma. So first we'll spend time on that. And the first 20 shlokas that Bhagavan speaks after Arjuna hands over to him is on this. So what is it about? It's like this, that all substance in reality is of only two types. The first type is called Atma and the second type is not Atma, Anatma. Okay, An in Sanskrit is a prefix to any word which begins with a vowel, any word which begins with a, e, or you can say u, These are all vowels in Sanskrit. A, E, U, A, R, A and I, of course, and R, and R, and Au, O, Au, and of course, Visarga is there. So all these are the swara padas. If any word begins with a swara, then if you add an un to it, you can add an un to it. A noun, I'm saying noun or a adjective, Visheshya padam or a Visheshana padam, not a Kriya padam, but a Vishesha Visheshana, if you add an un to it, then it becomes the opposite of that, the negation. So it's easy to create a negation. Like unlike in English also un is used. Un is used to create a negation, but not for all words, right? For example, you can't say Ajit and un-Ajit. Un-Ajit doesn't make sense, right? You can, somebody who is not Ajit, you will just say not Ajit. You will not say un-Ajit, right? Or un-Ashita. But in Sanskrit you can. Anajitaha means somebody who is not Ajit. That makes sense. So that's the flexibility that this language also offers it. So Atma, Anatma, and the word Anatma is also used in Bhagavad-gita. It's not just my creation, it's used in Bhagavad-gita in some places. So what is the difference between them? Atma refers to the living being. Life is Atma. The individual self is Atma. The universal self, Paramatma. So individual self, Jivatma, universal self, Paramatma. So life, if life exists, then Atma is present there. Life is Atma. Anatma is anything that doesn't have life in it, it doesn't have consciousness, non-living thing or matter. All natural and man-made creation, whatever we create, anything that has a creation cannot be Atma. Atma has no creation. So anything that is created, transformed is Anatma, right? Matter. So the essential points here to understand is that each one of us, that's the first thing to understand, that if I have to ask the question, who am I or who are you? The answer is each of us is an Atma. Okay, each of us is a distinct Atma, but identical. We are all identical to each other. Okay, now this question, this answer doesn't come by our normal experience, because normally we are not identical to each other, right? Each one of us is very different from each other by our appearance, by our behaviors, by our tendencies, or everything. But as Atma, what we really are, we are not different from each other. We are distinct from each other, but we are identical to each other. Although we are distinct, we are identical. We are not different in our basic nature. Our basic nature is the same. Our other differences, like for example, I am a man, you are a woman, or I am very emotional, you are very logical, or I like cricket, but you like academics. So all these differences are secondary. They come because of our body and our mind. They are not in us. The differences are not in us. The differences are external to us, but we interact with each other through our external self, our body. That is not our real self. Our real self is our Atma, or we the Atma, not our Atma. Our Atma is a wrong usage. We the Atma. We are the Atma. So each of us is a distinct but identical Atma. Our body, the body that we have, is Anatma. And that's where the difference comes. Our bodies are different, our minds are different, our tendencies and our what are called our proclivities, they are different. That is where the differences come. The body includes both our gross body, what is called the Stula Shariram, and the subtle body, Sukshma Shariram. Stula and Sukshma means gross and subtle. Subtle means what is not directly perceptible by our senses, that which we cannot see with our eyes. Okay, what do we have? The five gross senses: our sense of vision, a sense of taste, a sense of smell, sense of hearing, and the sense of touch. The five gross senses. We can't directly perceive something, that's called subtle. For example, even in material, even in the anatma that we know, that we acknowledge, right? For example, we have waves, electromagnetic waves. Our mobile, when we speak on the mobile phone, what happens? Whatever sound we make with our mouth, that goes into electrical energy, right? It's converted into what is called as electromagnetic energy. And that is transmitted by our mobile device. It's a transmitter in it. It transmits that to space, open space. And somewhere, some tower is capturing it. And that tower transmits that again to other towers. And some other tower captures it. And that tower then transmits it again. And some other mobile phone captures it. according to the coding we have done. We have coded through a mobile number, right? And the mobile phone which has that number recognizes that code and then takes that message or takes that electromagnetic wave and converts that back into a gross form. The gross form is what we can hear. The gross form, like now you're hearing my voice, in between my speaking and your hearing, so many subtle forms it's undergoing. We can't see it, we can't hear it, we can't do anything with it. With our gross senses, we can't perceive it. It's only those devices which are perceiving it. So now you understand what is meant by subtle. In the same way, we have a body which is also matter, which is also an atma, which is subtle. We cannot see it. Just because it is not visible to us doesn't mean it is spiritual. It is still material only. Only the atma is something that can be translated as spiritual. Everything else is material. So Sukshma Shariram is that part of our body which is not visible to us. I'll talk more about it as we go forward. Now, there is also a third Shariram which Adi Shankara identified, and he calls Maya or Ajnana as the Karana Shariram. Okay? Stula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, and then there is third one called Karana Shariram. The Karana Sharira is the causal body. It can be translated in English as the causal body. What he referred to by that is what we call Maya, or what he also called Maya or Ajnana, ignorance, Maya Shakti. So I'll be elaborating more on Maya as we do the future sessions. Okay, now body is not only human body. Although as a human being I'm talking about all this, it's not only a human body, but all bodies. Bodies of all living beings, animals, birds, plants, insect, reptile, everything, okay, is what is called as Shariram or Anatma. Now, I said this just now. The usage that is common in colloquial, language in India, we use the word Atma, Meri Atma. They say, right? Uski Atma chali gayi. वो मर गया, उसकी आत्मा चली गई. So this usage is colloquial usage. That's fine. In colloquial usage, it's fine. But technically speaking, it's wrong. Because my Atma means that I am different from my Atma. No, I am the Atma. My body is correct. My hand, my head, my leg. So anything connected with the body or anything that I possess is a correct usage. But who is me? I am the Atma. So the Atma is speaking. When I'm speaking, actually, the Atma is speaking because I am the Atma. So this understanding is required for us to understand the remaining things in Bhagavad-gita. Bhagavad-gita builds upon this. So now, what I gave you in the last slide was just my summary of the whole thing. Now, how does Krishna explain to Arjuna in the first 20 shlokas? If you look at it very carefully, you can make a table, which I've tried to do here, something like this. I'll come to the table. The Atma has Chaitanya or Chit. Chaitanya means consciousness. And because of consciousness, there is perception, there are feelings, there are emotions, there are desires, there is thinking, and there is knowledge. The Atma experiences all this. Each of us experiences all this, right? Each one of us. Not only human beings, but all animals. And even modern science agrees that plants also feel this. Plants also feel emotions, right? There is research. Scientific research shows that plants respond to feelings. They respond to music. So there is consciousness, which results in perception, feelings. Perception, feelings, emotions, desires, etc. They reside in consciousness. Consciousness is the adhikaranam for them. Adhikaranam means the basis, the foundation, the substratum. Without consciousness, these things won't exist. Knowledge, knowing, cognition. Cognition exists because of consciousness. Whereas anatma, whatever is matter, has none of that. It doesn't have any of these things. Anatma, like for example, the table, this microphone, right? The body, the clothes that I wear, that's all anatma. It doesn't have any of these things. So that is the most fundamental difference between atma and anatma. Presence and absence of consciousness. This is very, very important to understand. That is why that's the simplest argument to say why artificial intelligence is only to be called artificial. It is nothing more than that. However good it is, we can make use of AI. For example, even the call that we are now having, the Zoom call, there is an AI working in the background, which will give us the transcript. It will make notes, not only give us a transcript, it is so good that it is going to give us a gist of whatever we discussed. And I'm going to share that with you. So AI is excellent, but however excellent it is still A only. It is artificial. It is nothing more than artificial. We should keep that in mind. It can never replace natural intelligence, or what I call NI. NI is NI, AI is AI. So we have to keep that difference in mind, and we should realize that AI comes only because of NI. Without natural intelligence, AI also will not come. So human beings have created AI, and AI is anatma. AI will remain anatma always. It will never have consciousness. It behaves like something which has consciousness. It can pass the Turing test, what is called in computer science as the Turing test. You can Google on this later. But it doesn't have consciousness. Okay, now, Atma is Nitya. It is Shashwat. It is Sanatana. These three words are used in the first 20 shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. Nitya, Shashwat, and Sanatana. These words are used by Krishna again and again and again, many, many times. He repeats. Normally, in scholarly, transaction, in scholarly exchange, repeating the same word again and again is considered to be bad. It's considered to be faultiness. You're not supposed to repeat. You say it once, that's enough. You say it properly once, that's enough. But if you say it again, that means probably you are not sure about it. No. Here, Bhagavan repeats these words again and again because he wants to emphasize the importance of this. Eternality is a property of the Atma, just like consciousness is. It always exists. It never becomes non-existent. There was never a time when it did not exist. There will never be a time when it will become non-existent. And in contrast, Anatma is Anitya. Means it comes into existence, stays for some time and then goes out of existence. Or it transforms to something else. It doesn't have permanence of existence. It's always changing. It is never existing. So that is what is meant by saying Anitya. Anitya means that which doesn't have an existence, abhav. What that means is that, so for example, if I say this microphone is Anitya, you will say, no, sir, it is there for some time, right? So why do you call it Anitya? It is existing. It's true. Its existence, it's always transforming. And that's what makes it Anitya. Every moment, every kshana, prati kshanam, it is changing. हर एक क्षण में बदलता जाता है. So because of that reason, it is called Ashashvat or Anitya. It's temporary. And that's why it's also addressed as something that is abhavavat. It's like something that doesn't exist. It's as good as non-existing. Okay. Third property is because it's Nitya, it has no birth and no death. It is Ajaha. It is Janma Mrityu Rahita. It is neither birth nor death. Atma was never born. So I never had a birth. Only this body had a birth, which I consider as my birth because I think I am the body. Similarly, I will consider, or others will consider, I will not be there to consider, but others will consider when I die as my death. He died on this day, they will say. But actually, I never die. I will continue to exist even after others think I have died. In contrast, the anatma is always having a birth and a death. Everything is created and everything has an end. It will be destroyed. However durable it is, the most durable item will also be destroyed someday. The Atma is described as inconceivable, achintya. The material thing, however difficult it is to understand, is always conceivable. Now, what does achintya actually mean? Literal meaning of achintya is जिसके बारे में चिंता नहीं कर सकते हैं, जो चिंतन से बाहर है. What is beyond our ability to think, or what is beyond merely logical reasoning. Logical reasoning can help us to understand it to some extent, but logical reasoning by itself cannot help us to fully understand it. So how do we fully understand this? We have to go one level beyond logical reasoning. We rely on what is called a Shabda Praman. Now, I'll talk about pramana or epistemology or sources of knowledge in more detail. But in our Indian knowledge system, we accept certain pramanas, of which Shabda is one. Shabda is something that we give a lot of importance to. Unlike in the Western systems of knowledge, Western systems of knowledge actually, in practice, they accept Shabda. It's considered very important, right? I'll show you how. But explicitly, they don't acknowledge it as important. Okay, Vedangi's question I'll take, but let me finish this. Now, Shabda means, what is meant by Shabda? What is Shabda Praman and how is it connected to the idea of Achintya? Shabda Praman, Shabda means, it's defined in Nyaya as Apta Vakyam Shabda. Aptaha. Apta means a credible source or credible authority. Apta Vakyam Shabda. The words of an authority are Shabda. Okay, who is an apta? Who is the definition of apta or the credible person is yathartha vakta, one who speaks the truth as it is, one who knows the truth and speaks the truth as it is. That person is called an apta, one who is uh, got a proper intention and knows the thing correctly and speaks the right thing. So, if somebody is an apta, then whatever that person says, I accept as true. Once I recognize that this person is apta, then I recognize that person's credibility and accept that person's word, and that is called Shabda. So, in the system, in the Indian knowledge system, the Veda is considered as the Moola Shabda. It is a form of Shabda. It's the authority which we accept as true. All the systems, the major systems of the Indian knowledge system, are based on the Veda. Only some, like the Bauddha system, which actually the government of India, if you look at the definition of IKS, they haven't included Bauddha and Jain, although arguably they can be included. They only talk about the systems based on the Veda. So Buddhism and Jainism also came out of India, and also there is another thing called Charvakavada, which is atheism. So those also existed in India. Charvakavad exists all over the world, and it exists in India also. These existed before also. When the Veda was being followed, there were also people who spoke Charvakavad. But they don't accept the Veda. Bauddhas, Jainas, and Charvakas don't accept Veda. They don't think Veda is Shabda. They have their own Shabda. But whatever it is, they accept something else as Shabda. For example, the words of Gautama Buddha are accepted as Shabda by the people who follow Buddhism, right? So for them, that is their Shabda. The point I'm trying to make here is that the Atma is understood through the Shastra. That is why it's called Achintya. You cannot understand the Atma merely by logical reasoning. Forget about understanding through our gross senses, Pratyaksha. That's called Pratyaksha Pramana. That is ruled out anyway because it's not perceptible. But even through logical reasoning, it cannot be fully understood. It can be understood to some extent through logical reasoning. I'll give you one logic after some time. But you have to go beyond that to really understand the Atma, and that is through Shabda. You accept what the Veda says. So I'll come back to Achintya as we go forward. Whereas this doesn't apply to all Anatma. Anatma is Chintya. You can go through logical reasoning and Pratyaksha. A lot of Anatma is understood through Pratyaksha. The rest of it is understood even through Anumana. Anumana means logical reasoning. And that is good enough. But the Atma cannot be understood that way. Okay, now Vedangi's question is, if the Atma exists after death, then Atma should be able to perceive, but we need a body to perceive. How do we understand these two things together? Yes. So right now, because of our current state of existence, because even though the Atma leaves the Stula Shariram, the gross body dies and it becomes non-existent. But the Sukshma Sharira goes with the Atma. As long as the Atma does not get Mukti. Only at the point of Mukti, the Atma is freed from all the three Sharira. That is the Stula Shariram, the Sukshma Sharira, and the Karana Sharira. So when we die in this birth, when I die, I leave my Stula Sharira. But if I have not become Mukta, if I have not got Mukti, then I will continue to be in my Sukshma Sharira. I depend upon still the material body only. So because of that, I still need I still need a body. So I will be able to perceive, even without the gross body, in the Sukshma Sharira, there are so many living beings as per the knowledge system that we follow. There are what is in English called as ghost and what we call as Preta, Pishacha, and so on. These living beings also exist around us. They don't have a gross body. They have a subtle body. The subtle body that we also have, they also have, because they are also like us, Jivatmas. So they are able to perceive in whatever way. Their perception happens with the mind is with them, and all the senses, the sense of sight, everything is there. But the organ is not there. For example, Chakshur Indriyam is there. Chakshur Indriyam is a sense of sight. But the eye is not there. The eye is the organ, the gross organ. The gross organ is required to use that sense. That is not present, right? Just like you may have the engine of a car, but you also need to use the engine of a car as a car. You need the rest of the car. That is not present. So you can't use the engine also. The engine can only be kept there until the body is made. So like that. So the engines are there. The engine elements which make the engine are there, but the 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 body is not there to be able to use them. So the ghosts, they're able to perceive in some way. The pishachas and so on, they can perceive in some way. They have limited power, but they cannot do what people with the body can do, right? So that's how it's understood. Vedangi, does it address your question? Could you hear what I said? Okay. Oh, you got logged out. All right. Doesn't matter. Later on, we can talk about it. Once you reach here, we can continue and we can ask in the next class also. Okay, the next property. All this are connected to the first two properties I told you. Avinashi, not destructible, and the material thing is destructible. Achedyaha, adahyaha, akledyaha, ashoshyaha. It cannot be cut. The Atma cannot be cut. It cannot be burnt. It cannot be wet. It cannot be dried. These are all elaborations of Avinashi. But the opposite is true of the material things, which can be cut, dried, burnt, all those things. Avikarya means it doesn't transform. The Atma never transforms. Atma remains what it is, always in that way itself, eternally like that. Whereas the Anatma always transforms. Nitya Vikarya means it's always changing. It never remains the same. Even modern science agrees to this because every moment, even in the gross body, for example, the atoms are being replaced. The cells which make the gross body are continuously being replaced by other cells. So it is said that every 7 years, the whole set of cells is replaced by a new set of cells. It takes 7 years to replace them, typically. So which means the body which I had 7 years back, right, is no longer there. So if I am that's another argument, logical argument for why I am not the body. Because if I am the body, then I am no longer what I was 7 years back. I'm a different person altogether, right? But actually, it's not true. I am the same person. I say I am Ajit. That same Ajit was there 7 years back. I'm the same person. I'm not another person. I'm not another entity. I'm the same entity, right? So vikarya, body is continuously changing, and it is called shad vikara yukta, or you can say the Shadvikara dosha is present in the body. 6 types of transformation. Shadvikara means 6 types of transformations. So there's a shloka given by Adi Shankara, which goes something like this. Let me try to recollect the shloka. It says, Asti jayate vardhate parinamate, asti jayate vardhate, parinamate, apakshiyate vinashyati. Yeah, asti jayate vardhate, parinamate, apakshiyate vinashyati. These are the 6 transformations. Asti means exists in some steady state. Then jayate is born, vardhate grows, then parinamate is changes, keeps changing different forms like child, youth, adult, and so on. And apakshiyate means declines, and vinashyati gets destroyed, merges into the earth. Sarvagataha. The Atma is described as Sarvagataha, that which is present everywhere, and Asarvagataha, not present everywhere. So, how is the Atma present everywhere? This is because of its consciousness. Just like in this body, the Jivatma is present in the body, each one of us. Even though we are not the body, our presence is felt everywhere in the body. For example, if somebody touches my leg, Normally, I am not conscious of my leg, right? I'm doing my job. For example, I'm talking to you, my mind is focused on the topic that I'm speaking about. But let's say a fly comes and sits, or an insect comes and sits on my leg. Then immediately I feel it. So that shows that I am present there because I can feel that. The insect is sitting on my toe. My focus is on the screen. I'm looking at the screen and speaking to you. But the moment the insect comes there, I can feel that the insect is there. Similarly, any part of the body, any other part of the body as well, if somebody touches the body or if some hot air blows, I can feel that. So my presence is all over this body, although I am not the body. That's the meaning of Sarvagataha. Similarly, the Paramatma is present all over the universe. He can feel, he can cognize anything that happens anywhere in this universe. Of course, when I say universe, because we are experiencing this universe, the Paramatma or Bhagavan, he is beyond the universe. He pervades not only this universe, but it is described in the knowledge system that there are so many universes like this. So he pervades all universes and he is beyond that. That's the meaning of Sarvagataha. Then Sthanuhu, Achalaha. Sthanuhu means that which is firm, fixed, non-moving, non-shakable. And this also follows from the fact that it's not transforming, avikarya, which remains the same, steady. It's in one place. Whereas Asthanuhu, Achala. Okay? Achala, sorry. Asthanuhu, Chala. This is all the property of the Anatma. Avyayaha never erodes. Vyaya sahitaha erodes material. Avyaktaha, subtle, is so subtle that it's more subtle than anything material. Nothing material can be as subtle as this. It's completely unmanifest, completely imperceptible, whereas Vyaktaha, this should be spelling mistake here. It's Vyaktaha, it's manifest, it's perceptible. Aprameyaha, we cannot measure the Atma in any material terms. There's no measurement for the Atma. You can't take a scale or a vernier caliper or any other subtle device. A device can be used to measure very subtle signals. You can measure radio signals coming from the stars. You can measure so many subtle energies with the instruments that we make. But the Atma cannot be measured. And that is why, sometimes scientists or people who are completely, conditioned by science, people who study science and completely conditioned by it, they ask us this question, that you people talk about Atma, this and that. Isn't it just some blind belief? I said, no, it's not a blind belief. It's given in the Bhagavad-gita. It's given in all the Indian knowledge system, not only in Bhagavad-gita. But somebody must have written that. They just believed it. They wrote that. You prove it. So how can we prove it? You bring the Atma in a test tube and show me. Okay? Or show me. You create an instrument. You show me that the Atma is there with the instrument. Now, these things assume, the assumption here is that the Atma can be measured by something that I create, right? Like a test tube or some electronic instrument. That's an assumption that's being made. The scientist is not willing to accept that assumption. He's making the assumption, although he says he's... Hello? Vedangi? Vedangi, can you hear us? I can hear some background noise from your train, I presume.
Sir, I'll just
Yeah, okay. She's muted us. Yeah. So now, what was I saying? So this assumption the scientist makes that everything that has to be known can be known only by measurement. Knowledge comes only if you can measure something or perceive. When I say measure, I mean be able to perceive it through some sense that we have. So this is a major assumption that restricts the scientist's knowledge. The scientist cannot go beyond it because of that assumption. So we have to remove that assumption to say knowledge can be beyond what we perceive also, or what we can measure also. And that is why this word aprameya versus prameya is very important. The matter is prameya. Anatma is prameya. Atma is aprameya. Very important. Another meaning of the word aprameya is also, for example, we worship Hanuman as aprameya. Aprameya means something that is infinite, huge, in that sense also cannot be measured. If something is huge or infinite, it cannot be measured. We don't know how big it is, right? Like when Arjuna saw the Vishwarupa of Krishna in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, Vishwarupa comes. When he saw that, he got that feeling it's immeasurable, it's aprameya. I cannot make a statement about how big this is because it's bigger than how much ever big I think it is. It's absolutely, immeasurable. So that's another meaning of aprameya. It's too big to be measured. So aprameya versus prameya. So these are all the different characteristics that Sri Bhagavan highlights in the first 20 shlokas of the conversation that he begins to speak. After he begins to speak, he begins to speak in the second chapter, 11th shloka. I'm not including the first two shlokas. Actually, he speaks in the first shloka of the second chapter. First and second shloka of second chapter also are spoken by him. But there, he's not talking this. He's just telling Arjuna that get up and start fighting. But he actually begins to give instructions to Arjuna from the 11th shloka of the second chapter. And in the next 20 shlokas, these are the points that he makes. This contrast, compare and contrast, is the focus of those 20 shlokas. And I have shown it in this table. This table is important as we try to, understand Gita, because if we understand this table very well, many other concepts which come will become easy to understand. Otherwise, they will remain mystical. Why is he saying that? Now, if you relate it back to this, it becomes easy to resolve. Okay, now I'll just say one more thing for today's class and then we can stop for today. Now, this is from Chandogya Upanishad. Chandogya Upanishad offers this set of properties of the Atma. It says, Atma apahata papma vijaro vimrityuhu vishoko vijighatso apipasaha satya sankalpaha satya sankalpaha. आत्मा अपहत पाप्मा विजरो विमृत्युर्विशोको विजिगत्सो पिपास सत्य काम सत्य संकल्पः. This is Chandogya Upanishad. So what are these 8 properties? The first is that the Atma is free from the tendency to commit sin. Apahata papma means it by itself will not do anything that we call sin, papa, right? Then it is free from old age. The body has old age. It is free from death. It is free from sadness. It is free from hunger. It is free from thirst. It desires the truth. It always wants the truth. It loves the truth. And it is Satya Sankalpa. It is committed to the truth. It is attached to the truth. It will only follow the truth by itself. So this shloka actually enables people who pursue the Jnana Marga. When people are in the Jnana Marga, they need these things to contemplate upon. Jnana Marga is about contemplation on the Atma and the Paramatma. And how do you contemplate? You contemplate on something through its properties. So here, like this, the Upanishads, different Upanishads give different places, different types of properties of the Atma, Anatma, etc. And this is one place where the properties are given. This is often cited in the Shastra, so that's why I'm bringing it here. And this is how the distinction between Atma and Anatma is made. And so this is an object of contemplation. When the person thinks of himself like this, he thinks, I am the Atma. In Jnana Marga, the contemplation on the self. See, I am free from papa. I'll never commit papa. I'm free from old age. It's my body which has old age, not me. I'm free from death. Now I'm going to experience death, but it's not me who is dying. It's my body which is dying. Similarly, there's no sadness. I have left my wife. I have left my children. I have become a sannyasi. But there's no need to be sad because I am not sad. I am happy, completely happy. I'm free from hunger. I'm free from thirst. I don't have to eat. I don't have to drink. I can do tapasya for 10 days non-stop. So this kind of thinking, this kind of contemplation is fostered by these statements of the Upanishads. So with this, I will stop for today and I'd like to hear more questions and anything else from you. Any ideas about how we can understand these things even better? What kind of questions come to your mind when you hear these kind of things? Sarthak also. Sarthak, are you there?
Pranam, sir.
Pranam, Pranam.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yes, sir. So first of all, I'm very glad to attend the live session again after long, and I took the liberty to informally join myself. So I hope you don't mind about it.
No, no, Ashita also told me that you took the link from her. It's the same link we have been using in the past. So
So,
good, good to have you back. So I guess you are hearing these kind of things from the sannyasis in the ashram whom you're living with.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So right now we are studying the Ishavasya Upanishad. I'll come to the details. Maybe I'll connect with you separately, and I'll share about my experience over here. Sir, I had a few points. I wanted to discuss one. In the
Yeah,
previous slide, when we begin the table, the first basic property that we discuss about Atma and Anatma. Can you please move to that slide?
yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. Next one. The table.
Oh, the table. The first slide of the table.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, sir. So, in the previous slide, as we discussed, that the correct way of speaking is that I am the Atma, it's my body. So, in the same vein, over here, can the wording be rephrased as living being or Atma is consciousness?
Yeah, yeah. That's the
And
Vedantic understanding. Shankara gave that understanding. I think the other Vedanta scholars also have followed that. That has not been, I mean, there's no problem there. It's Nyaya, in some other schools of Indian, philosophy, that it becomes a property of the Atma. But here, Atma is Jnana. In Vedanta, Atma is Jnana. In Nyaya, for example, Atma has Jnana. Atma is different from Jnana. Atma has Jnana. Jnana is present in the Atma. But in Vedanta, yes. But for ease of understanding, I wrote it like this because, I don't expect a newcomer to be able to comfortably relate with that. That's why, to make it easy, I wrote it like this. In the beginning, it's
yes,
easier to think about it like this. Later on, we can come back to the point of Atma being consciousness and Atma being
yes.
Jnana.
And this consciousness is the substrate for the display of all these perception, feelings, emotions, desires, because all
Yes.
of these happen in our sthula sharira. Sorry, sukshma sharira.
Yeah.
The manas is the instrument
No,
over
but they
where.
originate in the Atma. Like, for example, Icha is a part
Mhm.
of the Atma. Icha is manifested in the mind. Do you follow?
So, ichha in the sense of the Ananda Swarupa, that the
Yeah.
love for self.
Basic Icha, yes. Basic Icha, for example, the will to do anything, will to love, whatever, will to, of course, the Atma's will is always to do something good for, something good. Something, Atma is naturally dharmic, right? And dharma means doing something good, doing something that is beneficial. So that natural tendency, Icha and Kriti, they exist in the Atma. They are not they are not only in the mind, they are not only in the Sukshma Shariram. They are manifest in the Sukshma Shariram. Right now, because we cannot perceive them, we need the we need the mind to be able to see them because we cannot perceive ourselves.
So, mind is a special instrument where the consciousness gets reflected. For example,
Yeah.
the electromagnetic waves, they are present everywhere, but
Yes.
we need a modem to be able to channelize those.
Yes.
So this consciousness is all pervasive, but it gets
Yes.
manifested better or expressed better when we have a mind, which is again a material thing. It is uh,
It's because of our
it is
agyan.
an. Hmm.
It's because of agyan, because we are under the influence of Maya.
Hmm. Hmm.
We
Hmm.
need the body, the Sukshma
Hmm.
Shariram and the Sthula Shariram, to be able to see these things. If we are not under the influence of Maya, we can clearly see them without that also.
Sir, can you repeat the last part?
If we are not under the influence of Maya, if we are not in
Hmm.
Ajnana, when Ajnana is removed by Jnana,
Hmm.
Jnana
Hmm.
comes up. When we discover our own Jnana,
Hmm. Hmm.
remove Ajnana, then we don't need the Stula Sharira and the Sukshma Sharira to be able to see our own
Hmm.
self
Yes,
and to
sir.
experience
Yes.
emotions, feelings, etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
Atma
Hmm.
also has emotions, feelings, even without the Sukshma Sharira.
Yes, sir.
I don't know to what
Yes, sir.
extent Advaita recognizes this. I don't know what you're hearing in the ashram, but if you read Bhagavatam and the commentaries on
Hmm.
Bhagavatam,
Hmm.
you will see that emotion bhav is not because of the Sukshma Shariram only. The Atma, the Shuddha Atma also has emotion bhav. For example, prem, the bhav of prem and all the variations of prem which come, they are not because of the Sukshma Sharira. They are from the
Right,
Atma
sir.
itself. They are part of the Atma.
Right, sir. So over here, they're talking about the Ananda Swarupa. So Sat and
Yeah,
Chit, that is all right. But the Anand aspect, it is what is the source for all the both the enjoyments and the suffering. So all
yeah,
the spectrum of emotions that we go through. So the cause is Ananda. It is the ultimate cause.
yes. Ananda Swarupa is recognized. Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In fact, we'll talk about the
Yes.
Panchakosha. That's another thing that I see modern IKS scholars trying to bring from the Shastra, from the Upanishad to the management world. Panchakosha, they say Panchakosha. So we'll talk about it as we go forward.
So
Taittiriya,
it's in Taittiriya Upanishad. Yes,
Taittiriya
yes.
Upanishad. Yes.
Yes.
Why does it come? Actually, it's connected to the Atma. It
Hmm.
means the understanding the Atma, the five different levels in which people
Hmm.
understand the Atma, beginning with the Annamaya Kosha.
Hmm.
Actually, the word kosha is not used there in the original text. I had a look at the original
Okay.
text.
Okay.
The question being asked there is, what is the Atma? And it begins with the understanding of the Atma is something that is Annamaya in nature. And then slowly it goes through the five levels and concludes by saying Atma is Anandamaya.
But Atma is even beyond the Anandamaya Kosha also, right? Yeah, Atma is Anandamaya, but
Yeah.
that here
Atma has
Anandamaya
no
Kosha is the
Atma has no
Karana Sharira.
material kosha.
Hmm.
So if you want to use the word kosha, then you have to recognize the Atma is its own kosha,
Hmm. Yes, sir.
which
Yes,
is
sir.
Anandamaya. Atma is Anandamaya. Ananda is a part of the Atma without having to depend on anything else. By its own intrinsic nature, it is Ananda.
Yes, sir.
Swarupa,
Yes,
that's
sir.
the Swarupa of Ananda,
Hmm.
Swarupa of the Atma.
Yes. Yes, sir. Sir, also you talked about the Karana Sharira. So can you maybe elaborate a little on it?
Because it
You said
covers
it
the
is the
Atma,
product
no?
of avidya.
Shankara, Adi Shankara, he said there are three bodies.
Hmm.
The third is the Karana Shariram. He called it Karana Shariram in my understanding because it covers the Atma, no? It covers the Atma's jnana, just like the other two are doing.
Hmm.
The other two are also covering
Right.
the Atma's jnana. The jnana, that I am not the body, is always present in the Atma, right? It's like you said, Atma is that knowledge. But the Atma doesn't experience it. Right now, do you experience that you are not the body?
Hmm.
You don't, right? None of us experience
No.
that. If you ask me who is Ajit, I'll say Ajit, this is Ajit. See, this is Ajit. You will say this
Yes,
is
sir.
Sarthak.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
when I look in the mirror, yeah, Ajit is so many feet tall. Ajit looks like this. I comb my hair. Okay, I should look good today. I put some makeup on my face. Why? Because
Yes.
right now I can't see myself. I can only see the body. Similarly, the third body, the most fundamental body, is that Maya, that Ajnana, which is covering me.
Hmm.
Ajnana is not
Hmm.
merely, in Vedanta, Ajnana is not merely the absence of Jnana, although it is, in technically speaking,
Hmm.
plus Jnana becomes Ajnana. But it's not merely saying that whenever Jnana is not absent, it is Ajnana. It's not merely that.
Hmm. Partial knowledge.
Yes, it is not partial knowledge also.
No.
Jnana is always present. Jnana is always present in the Atma. It is not acquired from outside. You follow?
So, by partial, what I meant is that so you don't know what exactly is there, but to add to the problem, you think there is something else. So, the classical example which is used is the rope and the snake. So, and the setting is also that of a twilight. So, if a passerby is going by and in the time of twilight, he might mistake that snake to be that rope to be a snake and be afraid. So while there is no snake to begin with in the first place, but since something is visible, but you don't know what it truly is, so you don't know it is the rope. Second, you think that it is a snake. So that twofold problem.
See, this is a form of Ajnana. Correct?
Yes, yes.
This is a form of Ajnana. Jnana means the complete experience of I am the Atma. That's
Yes,
called
sir.
jnana, right? And that jnana is always present in the Atma. The Atma doesn't have to be taught that. It is not acquired from outside,
Yes, yes.
correct?
The
But,
Sukshma, the
but
Sukshma
why don't we
Sharira means.
experience it? Why don't we experience it? Because there is something else called ajnana, which covers this. उसमें ढक जाता है, हिंदी में ढक जाता है बोलते हैं ना, उसको ढक देता है वो
Yes, sir. Yes.
वो
Yes, sir.
कवर कर
Yes,
देता
sir.
है। वो
Yes, sir.
कवर किया तो वो दिखता नहीं है, वो खुद को दिखता नहीं।
Yes, sir.
That is why it's
Yes, sir.
called a
Yes,
body.
sir.
Now you understand why it's called a body, the third body or sharira, because it covers that. Just like this body is covering me now, that also covers. It's most fundamental cover. The most basic cover is that ajnana. That's why it's called karana sharira. It's the cause of the other two bodies.
And it is the nature of it is only ignorance. That is what constitutes the Karana
The
Sharira.
ignorance is the English translation. Forget about the English translation. We'll call it ajnana. Ajnana means it comes in
Again.
the way of me experiencing my own jnana.
Yes, sir.
I can't
Yes, sir.
experience my own jnana
Yes,
because
sir.
of the presence of that thing. That is not merely the absence of jnana. That's a thing by itself. It's its own padartha. You follow?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Vedangi has a question. So Ashita and Vedangi, don't worry. Sometimes Sarthak will take us into, because Sarthak is half a sannyasi now. I'm just joking. So he's gone and staying with some monks who are very enlightened people. He's staying with enlightened people. He's learning from them. And he wants to take that path. He's inspired. I really appreciate that. But in our class, he may ask us some questions which take us into something much deeper than what I intend to give you in the beginning. I know that you're just beginning this journey. And so for you to hear all kinds of things, don't be confused. Please feel free to ask me any doubt that you have. Okay? Don't worry about the deep questions that Sarthak brings up. Okay, Vedangi asks us now, there are certain meditations which can be practiced or which are practiced to experience the body and mind as separate to us. In those experiences, the mind which is experiencing that, or the Atma? Probably a naive question. Yeah, no problem. You can ask any question. It's actually the Atma which is experiencing it, but through the mind. Whatever the experiencer is always the Atma. The mind is only an instrument of experience. The mind is a medium. The medium through which experience happens is the mind. The experiencer is the Atma, always. The cognizer, person who cognizes, the person who experiences is always the Atma. Vedangi, does it answer your question? Yeah, good.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, thank you so much for conducting this session. And today's session really is very comprehensive. Sir, I wanted to understand the questions which we spoke about, like in the beginning of the session. You spoke about the 7 questions of Bhagavad-gita, which Bhagavad-gita answers. So is it only Bhagavad-gita, or like the other knowledge system also answers these questions?
Oh, Bhagavad Gita is a drop of the larger knowledge system which it tries to represent. In particular, Bhagavad Gita represents Vedanta. Bhagavad Gita in particular is Vedanta, essentially Vedanta. So what is Vedanta? Vedanta is how it is classified today by modern scholars, is that it's one among the 6 darshanas. Okay, there are 6 major darshanas which we speak about, the Astika darshana, which are all based on the Veda. So one of them is Vedanta. The other 5 are Nyaya, Sankhya, Mimamsa, Vaisheshika, and Yoga. So 6 major darshanas exist today, all based on the Veda. And there are 3 other darshanas which also exist. They are not called, 2 of them are called darshanas, Bauddha darshana and Jaina darshana. Bauddhas, which are coming from the teachings of Gautama Buddha, and Jainas coming from Rishabhadeva and so many other scholars, Jain scholars. Now, these are not called Astika darshanas. They are called Nastika darshanas because they are not based on the Veda. Whatever is based on the Veda are called Astika darshanas. So Astik and Nastik in normal colloquial language, we mean theist and atheist. But here, Astika means that which is based on the Veda, which accepts the authority of the Veda. And Nastika means that which doesn't accept the authority of the Veda. Now, Charvaka is not considered a darshan actually. It is just a viewpoint. Charvaka, we say Charvaka Siddhant. People who believe that the Atma is the body, the Shariram is the Atma. There's nothing other than that. Okay, so that is this thing. So Vedanta is represented by Bhagavad-gita. So the whole Vedanta philosophy is captured in so many texts. So those questions which I raised today are answered by Bhagavad-gita and all those texts also in different ways. All the narratives we hear, the stories that we hear in the Bhagavatam, in the Mahabharata, Ramayana, they're all devoted to answering these kind of questions. Why did Vedanta become so popular while other five don't have such following? Well, probably because it's the most convincing among the others, among all the six. Vedanta, all the six actually exist. There are scholars and all the six of them existing in the Indian universities and different places, in the mutts, in the different mutts. But Vedanta has become popular among the non-scholars also. There are a lot of people who talk about Vedanta, they write on Vedanta. They are not really scholars in the true sense. They have understood something about Vedanta, they write about it, and they talk about it also. But the scholars of Vedanta, they explain Vedanta in great detail. They go into the terms, like I'm not a scholar of Vedanta, but I'm trying to take an approach which resembles their approach, where I go into the concepts, word by word, concept by concept, like that. So Vedantic scholars do that. They write elaborate explanations for even a single word and so on. Vedanta answers very comprehensively many things which other philosophies don't answer. And of course, I think Sarthak also has raised his hand probably to say the same thing that I want to say, that the philosophers after Shankara, Shankara was the one who brought Vedanta to the forefront in this modern age. Vedanta has always existed even earlier, but Shankara, about 2500 years back, brought Vedanta out. And that time, the Bauddha philosophy was somewhat dominant in the country. But he brought out Vedanta and he debated with so many Buddhist scholars, and he is credited with sort of, defeating Buddhism and removing it from India. And after Shankara, so many other scholars also took after him, like Ramanuja, Madhva, Chaitanya, Nimbarka, Vallabhacharya. So many acharyas have written commentaries on Shankara's work. I mean, Shankara and other interpretations of Vedanta. Vedanta today is very dominant, yes.
And sir, how can one become sannyasi without moving away from his responsibilities?
How can one become sannyasi? Actually, the Gita answers this question, although he is not called a sannyasi, but he can do sannyas. You and I can do sannyas today by becoming detached from the fruits of our work. Karma phala tyagaha eva sannyasa. Sannyasa means giving up attachment to kama or material desire, the desire to enjoy matter. Okay, so I'm giving you a very technical answer now. So in the 18th chapter, when Arjuna asks Krishna this question, that what is the difference between sannyasa and tyaga? So the first answer that Krishna gives, the most basic answer, is that giving up the attachment to one's own desires to enjoy matter, is called sannyasa. That is not pursuing kamya karma. Kamya karma means activities done to enjoy matter. Whereas activities done for, you can say, doing your duty, activities done as a matter of duty, activities done for others' well-being only, not because I want to enjoy something in return. These are nishkama karma. And this is the basic understanding of sannyas. Then he says tyaga means giving up the desire to enjoy the fruits, karma phala tyaga. And then eventually he concludes that both mean the same. Karma, sannyasa and tyaga mean the same. So, to answer your question, how can one become a sannyasi without giving up responsibility? So, one becomes a sannyasi by following this principle. So we will go into more detail about what is meant by anasakti, what is meant by working or existing without attachment to the fruits of our activities. And thereby, even living as we are, doing all our work and handling all our responsibility, we are practically sannyasis. Now, in the Varnashrama system, the word sannyasa is used to refer to one of the four ashramas, right? After brahmachari, first you become brahmachari, then you grihastha, then vanaprastha and sannyasa. So these four ashramas of life, the fourth ashrama is called sannyasa ashram. There, that sannyasa ashram there refers to giving up your normal responsibilities and devoting yourself to only activities of contemplation on God, contemplation on the self, and preparing to leave this world and setting an example for others as the goal of life, telling others that this is the goal of life. You demonstrate by being a sannyasi. That's what is the sannyasa as far as Varnashrama is concerned. But in Bhagavad Gita, how Sri Bhagavan tells us to be sannyasi is this, what I just explained. So we can all be sannyasis that way, without calling ourselves sannyasi.
Thank you, sir. And sir, for Panchkosh, there is one scale developed by Professor Ashish Pandey on
Hmm.
Panchkosh. So it measures our Panchkosh.
Okay. I have
Yeah, and
not
it's
seen that.
available
Yeah,
online
I know
for
that
free.
research has been done on it,
Yeah.
IKS research. Maybe you can use it in your work also, but I have not seen it in detail. We can discuss it sometime together.
Yes, sir.
Let me compare it to what the Upanishad says and see how he has managed to adapt it to the modern management world. It'll be interesting to see that. Yeah,
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
good. Sarthak, you wanted to say something? You raised your hand.
Yes, sir. This is regarding Ashita's point about why Vedanta is so popular, or I think Vedangi's point, I don't remember. But this thought came in my mind. I would like to seek your comments on it. So the Astik Darshanas, we have six Astik Darshanas. We have Purva Mimamsa, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya Vaisheshika, and Vedanta. Now, why what I feel is why Vedanta can is very popular right now. One of the reasons can be, so I don't know much about the other schools, but from the introductory part, the way Vedanta positions Ishvara. So there is a position for Ishvara and which can be very pleasing for us to relate and to maybe there is someone for us to connect to and to talk to. So there is no emphasis given on Ishvara in the Karma Kanda portion, or maybe say in the Sankhya. Even in the yoga, the Ishwar is someone as the teacher of all teachers, not the one who is the creator or all pervasive, something like that. So the very special position that Ishvara holds in Vedanta can be something which people naturally like to relate to. And that is why maybe Vedanta is more popular as opposed to these schools. I have no clue about Nyaya and Vaisheshika, but this is what was coming to my mind. So your comments on it.
Could be that could be the reason. The way in which Ishvara is explained here, that could be a reason. But Nyaya, I know for sure, accepts Ishvara, and Nyaya has a Dvaita understanding of Ishvara. Jivatma and Paramatma are different from each other, like the way that I was explaining here. Uh, Maybe what you're saying could be true. That could be a reason why it's easy to understand. Nyaya philosophy is not so easy to understand for the common public. It's easy for you and me because we are academically oriented. Anybody who's academically oriented can understand, I think, any of the six philosophies. So all of us can understand them. But for the common man in public, some of the other philosophies, even Sankhya, may not be easy to understand. Vedanta, at least the way in which it is delivered in public, of course, if you go to Shankara's works and try to understand Shankara Vyakhya, it's not easy to understand, or for that matter, any other Acharya. Even Gaudiya Vaishnava commentaries on this thing are not easy for the common man to understand, but we will be able to understand them because we are academically oriented. But yes,
No, but love is universal, no, sir? Love everyone understands.
love everybody understands. I think probably the way that love and dharma are brought out in Vedanta by the Vedantis is brought out better than any other school to the common man. Yeah, good, good. Any other question today? Shall we close for today? It's 8:30 now. We'll close and go on to our normal duties, and we meet again next Wednesday. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or any thoughts, please feel free to share. I will find the AI recording of this and share it with you. And my suggestion is, before the next class, Ashita and Vedangi, as a part of your study, it may be useful for you if you write down your own notes, like a small essay or a small write-up, and contemplate on that, raise questions, make your own thoughts. How would you connect it to your research? What kind of a research question can come from knowing these concepts? Okay, of course, we are going to learn a lot more, so everything doesn't have to be answered from here. But if you do this on an ongoing basis, by the time you come to the stage of making your research questions, it may help you a lot. So let's keep doing this. Okay. Anything else? Somebody has posted something in the chat. Close your eyes. Om स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्यायेन मार्गेण महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे धन्यवाद थैंक यू